Man, it is weird to be explaining Ocarina of Time. But in a forest on the outskirts of Hyrule lives a boy who, unlike everybody else in the town, does not have a fairy. So they laugh at him and call him names like Pinocchio. Anyway, he's having a dream where a big, strong, manly father figure rides up on a horse and says, "Hello!" Meanwhile, the king of the forest, Lord Tree, senses dark tidings in the future and summons everybody's favorite video game character, Navi.
Hey, look, listen!
He tells her to go get the boy without a fairy and bring him here so that he can save the world.
Fly, Navi. The fate of the forest, nay, the world, depends on thee.
Well, it was worth a shot. Also, unrelated, I just want to point out that Google Docs automatically changes the word Navi to Nazi. So our little German friend wakes us up and tells us to go see the Deku tree. So I walk out of my house and the beautiful Kokiri Wood song fills my ears and Link is greeted by his awesome green-haired girlfriend. Well, to go see the Deku tree, I know that I need to have a dagger and a shield. So I head on over and avoid some boulders to grab my glorified pig sticker, and then I toss some rocks and perform some acrobatic feats to get the rupees to pick up a shield. Alright, now I'm ready. Yo, Mido, out of my way. I gotta go greet the great tree man.
Link, please, there is great evil afoot. Let me eat you.
Chewy. Okay, so we are inside the Great Deku Tree, and I've done this dungeon a ton of times, and it's a fantastic tutorial. It lets you fight the perfect tutorial enemies, and it teaches you to effectively use your shield. And at this point, all you have is Deku Sticks, so most of the puzzles include Deku Sticks. After a little bit of time inside the dungeon, you get yourself the slingshot, and once you have it, they incorporate it into a lot of the puzzles. But yeah, it's a simple dungeon. It's so simple, in fact, that I managed to make it on Super Mario Maker. Here's the code, if you want to try that out. But in this game, I go through all the tasks, and then I need to fight the spider god Goma, shoot her in the eye, kill her kids, tear out her heart, eat it, become strong. After that, the tree tells me the creation myth of Hyrule, and then tells me to go meet Princess Zelda. Okay, I'll do it, but only because you have an awesome mustache. Hey Link, did you kill the Great Deku Tree? Yeah, and I'll kill you too if you don't shut your trap, Mido. On my way out of the forest, my green-haired girlfriend stops me and tells me how she always knew that someday I would leave the forest. And then she gives me her very special ocarina in hopes that when I play it, I'll think of her and eventually I'll come back to visit. How sweet. Alright, now for the fun part. Almost everybody who's played this game more than once enjoys this little task. Try to get to Hyrule Castle before the first nightfall. And check out these speedrun strats! Side hop to the castle! Oh man, I am making great time. No! Oh, why am I in the water? Okay, I failed the task, and that means that all night I need to fight bloodthirsty zombies. But they are really easy to fight, and when the morning comes, the drawbridge drops, I head on in, but before I do anything, I gotta stop in here and go all Lindsay Sterling on these pots. Alright, now let's shake off that persona to put on a Sam Fisher persona and get past these fools. I really like this part. I know it's designed to be the easiest thing you'll ever do in your life, but it still does feel pretty awesome to get past these guards on the first go. So I meet with the princess, and Zelda explains that right now her father is meeting with a man who she can tell is just evil, only by looking at him.
It's because he's black. Huh, Zelda? Someone with that skin complexion just has to be... You know what? I guess I'm not even that surprised. I'm standing next to Zelda, the blue-eyed, blonde-haired Aryan princess. Besides, Google Docs seems that I'm traveling with a member of the Waffen-SS. Yeah, okay, fine. Let's kill him. I don't care.
So Zelda gives me a letter so I can go see the Gorons, and her bodyguard Impa teaches me the song of the Imperial family for my ocarina, Zelda's Lullaby, and it's such a sweet song. So I head on over to Kakariko Village and I do one side quest. I gather up all of this lady's cuckoos, because if you do that, she gives you arguably the best item in the game, a bottle. I never feel safe unless I have a fairy in my pocket. So after doing my good deed and rounding all of this woman's chickens into one area, I decide to scatter them with a blood rage and I attack one of them. Wow, I think this is a good idea! Hello, sir. I have been sent by Princess Zelda to save the world. Would you please open the gate for me? I love this cutscene. The whole time, the chickens are just suspended in the air as a reminder that the second this conversation is over, I am dead. Hey, I was wondering, could you go get a mask for my son? Dude, please? I don't know if you noticed this, but there are death cuckoos circling around my head like buzzards. Can we talk about this later? Alright, let's kill some of these Tactites for some hearts and make it to the Goron village. So I head on down to the chief and play the song with the royals to show that I am in fact their messenger. Unfortunately, he is in a bad mood, and the fact that they sent a 9-year-old as their envoy is a personal insult to him, so I'm just sent away. As a kid, I thought it was a nice touch how you can actually hear the Lost Woods from the Goron City, as a hint is what you need to do next. So I make it all the way back to the Lost Woods and meet up with Saria, and we have a nice heartfelt moment, and she teaches me a song so that I can talk to her anytime I'd like through the magic of the Ocarina. And on my way out of the forest, I make sure to grab myself an extra life. After that, I head back to the King Goron, whip out my ocarina, and we jam out to his favorite song. He does a fun little dance, and he decides, hey, it's fine if Hyrule's willing to send a kid to die on the Goron's behalf. Who is he to decline such a nice gift? So he gives me the Goron bracelets, which I use to blow open Dodongo's cavern. And the first half of this cavern, I am using bomb plants to solve all the fun puzzles. My personal favorite is setting all 20 of these bombs off at once. Now, usually it would take a long time to climb up each one of these steps, unless you're awesome. Backflip, backflip, backflip. So the first half of this dungeon was using bomb plants that they set up for you. Halfway through the dungeon, they give you the bomb bag, allowing you to use bombs freely, and the second half of the dungeon focuses on that fact. Okay, so Ego Raptor said that there's no peril in this situation because you could do it with your eyes shut. I put this theory to the test, and I disagree. Now for the king of the dungeon, King Dodongo. His attack is breathing, but you can really mess him up if you decide to lodge a bomb in his esophagus. Emphysema doesn't kill people. Children with bombs kill lizards. So I leave the cavern, a hero to the Gorons, and Runia declares me to be his brother and gives me the Goron Ruby. I think I forgot to mention this, but the Giving Tree gave me the Kokiri Emerald, and I need the 3 rocks to save Hyrule. The last one is with the Zoras, so I head on over to Zora's domain, and I can't find the trigger to open the next part of the game. I tried playing the royal song for the king, but it didn't work. However, I did learn that if you play Zelda's Lullaby for a Sheik to Stone, it gives you a free fairy. So I guess right now all I can do is play the Zora's minigame. Ooh, look at that dive!
5 of the 7 judges scored the dive as 10 out of 10.
The prize for winning the minigame is the ability to hold my breath for an additional 3 seconds, which actually helps me get to Lake Hylia. And would you look at that, a bottle! So I grab it and I decide to head back to the nearest Sheikta Stone to get myself a second fairy, but it turns out it was a distress letter from the Princess of the Zora. She got eaten by the Zora's great defender, Lord Jabu-Jabu, so the king sends me to go save her. So I go to the whale, but he demands a fish, and the Zora are selling fish, but they're for 200 rupees! Only hold 99. And where do you get off selling something for that much money that is literally 30 feet outside of your shop? Get the fish, offer it to Jabu, get straight up Jonah. So this is the next dungeon, and pretty early on I meet Princess Ruto. I came here to save her, but she is so rude. First off, she jumps deeper into the creature, and then she refuses to walk. I will give you the honor of carrying me.
Link, watch out! She's a Tsundere! Or a Tsundere! She's a jerk!
I actually do like the dungeon. There's a lot of puzzles that are dependent on you having an object with you at all times, so I had a lot of fun with her, at least until I got the boomerang. Then the dungeon focused mainly on that. Alright, and I've made it to the boss. What is that thing? Is that Jabu-Jabu's heart? It looks like a freaking cardiac valve! And this fight is actually really awesome. A true test of skill and lightning avoidance. So, after killing Jabu's heart, the princess and I escape. And then she presents me with the Zora Sapphire. But there is a slight catch. You see, this is a relic of the Zora, and it's supposed to be presented by the princess to the man that she's going to marry.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, if I'm being forced to marry a Zora, I don't want to marry Ruto. I want to marry that babe from the Breath of the Wild. Prince Sidon.
Alright, now that I have all 3 of the rocks, I need to take them to Princess Zelda. But as I'm approaching Hyrule Castle, the drawbridge comes down, and Zelda and Impa are fleeing. And it's at this moment that she chucks something, and all I gotta say is, nice arm, Zelda! Seriously, that had to be like at least 50 yards. Combine that with the fact that you were riding away from the castle on a horse, and dang, you should be the hero of time. Anyway, after that, Ganon comes out, and I challenge him to a gentleman's duel. But he declines, and he runs away scared. Coward! After that, I grabbed Zelda's Hail Mary touchdown, and ooh, it's a shiny new ocarina. I gotta call Saria.
Hey, Saria. Oh, actually, I got a new one. Oh, that one? Yeah, I scrapped it. I don't care if you got it from the Queen of Sheba. Your dad is dead, and so is the ocarina now. You know, you sound really mad. I'm gonna have to call you back.
So I went to the Temple of Time and I got a pre-recorded message from Zelda telling me to pop the stones into the slots on the table and to play the Song of Time. So I did as she requested, and then it opened a back room with a sword. I walked up and grabbed it, and then I was transported to a realm where an old guy says, "Yeah, turns out the 9-year-olds can't be heroes, but 16? That's a pretty heroic age." Unfortunately, this is also like Samurai Jack. Ganon now runs a majority of the world, and you know, I could seal him away, but I'm gonna need some other sages. I'm gonna want to say like 5 more? Also, could you be a pal and try and make a majority of those sages women? So I agree, and then I meet Sheik. He was just kinda waiting here for me. He explains basically the same thing, and he tells me that the first sage I should go save is Saria. However, I'm not powerful enough for that yet, so I should head to Kakariko Village to train. So I head there and grab the 3 things that I know about: the Song of Storms, the Sun Song, and I have a race with a spooky ghost in an underground cavern for the funnest item ever, the hookshot. Now to Kokiri Forest. I make my way there, and there are a lot of monsters ruling the place. I mean, it's not as bad as Hyrule that looks like it got carpet bombed with zombies. But the fact that the cheerful Kokiri music keeps getting interrupted by battle music is a bit jarring. So I make my way to the back of the Lost Woods where Saria taught me her song, but this time Sheik is here. He also teaches me a brand new song that will allow me to warp to this part of the forest anytime that I'd like. And then I head into the dungeon. So, the first of the big boy dungeons, and I gotta say, I love this place. First off, the atmosphere. A huge stone temple that has plants overtaking it. Also, one of the central themes is paintings. There are paintings all over this place, and I do love the art. But the best part about this dungeon is the song. Forest Temple transforms this place from a neat design dungeon to a creepy, ghostly, atmospheric temple, and I love it. Pro tip from me to you, type in Jillian Adversa Forest Temple for some of the most awe-inspiring covers of this song you will ever hear. So I mentioned paintings through the temple and how they're kind of important to the overall aesthetic, but it also carries over to the boss fight. Puppet Ganon, who rides through the paintings, hops through the room, and shoots down lightning. I really like this fight, and it reminds me of the Headless Horse guy for some reason. After his defeat, I am taken to the Chamber of the Sages, and who's waiting here but my green-haired girlfriend? She mentions how a relationship never would have worked between us, especially now since her soul needs to be used to seal away evil. And if I'm being 100% honest with you, this is a very emotional cutscene.
Why is it that every time I finish a dungeon in the forest, somebody I care about dies?
But now I can freely change between young Link and old Link at free will. So my first order of business is to go back to the Temple of Time, turn into a shrimp, and head to Kakariko Village so I can fulfill a time paradox by playing the Song of Storms in the windmill, which I guess kills my grandfather or something, and it also allows me to enter the well. Now, I never entered the well as a kid. I could never figure out the Forest Temple, but holy cow, this crap is haunted! I think every YouTuber has mentioned this dungeon in one form or another, but I still was not prepared for it. Something about enemies that can only be seen under certain circumstances is very unnerving. Even the timing of these coffins is perfect to create tension, but all of that is nothing compared to the Dead Hand.
I've never felt afraid while playing any video game. Resident Evil, Dead Space, but somehow an E10 plus game actually got to me.
Everything about this is perfect to create fear. The Dead Hand is slow, but he only appears after you let the freakishly proportioned hands grab your head. The whole time it keeps a grip on you and the faceless freak hobbles towards you, and it lowers its disgusting head with a mouth wide enough to eat your head. I am mashing every last button to shake free of these ghoulish tentacles, only to make a wrong move as soon as I'm set free and get snatched by another creepy claw, which allows the Dead Hand to wrap his loving mouth around my skull.
Nuh-uh! Nope! All of the no! 175% of the no! No!
So the whole point of that dungeon was to get the Lens of Truth, so now that I've got it, let's get the flip out of here and book a therapy session. Alright, now I turn back into an adult and head to Death Mountain, but when I get to Goron City, I find the whole place is vacant, except for one wild Goron. I politely ask him to stop, then he tells me that all the Gorons have been stolen, and they're gonna be eaten by a dragon. He then gives me a Goron tunic so that I can survive the heat of the dungeon. When I get inside, I run into Sheik, who gives me a song so that I can warp the volcano whenever I'd like. Then I head into the actual dungeon and I see Darunia. He tells me that he's gonna go fight the dragon without the hammer, and that he wants me to go save the Gorons that are being held here. So I think this dungeon has my favorite puzzles. Another cool thing is that every time I save a Goron, they give me a hint which can help me. I also love the mini bosses of this stage. The dancing flame. It pops out and it's so graceful and deadly. But once you get a good hit on it, it becomes a frightened little ember that you get to chase around the room. Eventually though, I get myself the hammer, and I'm pretty sure my favorite hammer is the Ocarina one. I mean, look at it. It's so shiny! So I head back to the boss room to back up Darunia, but he's not here. But the dragon is! And this is another amazing fight. Just straight up fighting a dragon. It doesn't get much more fantasy than that. He did kill me though. You see, he tricked me. I thought he would pop out of one of these holes, and then he popped out of a different one, and then I got hit square in the chest with a blast of fire. But in round 2, I knew his tricks, and he went down easy. After that, I was teleported to the Chamber of the Sages. And here is Darunia, who died fighting the dragon, but he lives on as a sage. Wait, since I'm his brother, does that mean I have to raise his son now? The weirdest part is his son is named Link. You know, I'd actually watch a sitcom where a human raises his Goron. I even got a great name for it. Linking Up. After that, Navi mentions that there's a chill coming from the Zora's domain, so I head over to that area, but it's blocked off. Ooh, I think I need Epona here, but I don't know how to unlock her. But I do have an idea. So I head over to Lon Lon Ranch to try Inigo's race a couple of times, but then I realize that the bootleg horse that they're letting me ride isn't gonna be good enough. And Epona is too spooked to let me ride her. So I head back in time and return to the ranch, but before I learn that song, I gotta play Talon's minigame. I'm pretty sure there's a pretty good reward for winning it. Yeah, I found them all!
How would you like to marry Malin?
Huh. That reward is actually a lot better than I remember it being. Well... You know what? Yeah. Okay, I'll take you up on that, Talon.
So I go out to tell Malin the news, and she's singing, and oh man, this song is just so relaxing. So I talked to her a couple of times, and then I pulled out my ocarina and she teaches me the song. Then I warp back to the temple, turn into an adult, and come back to the ranch. This time I use Epona's song so I can get on the fastest racehorse, and then I just kick Inigo's trash. But then he gets really embarrassed. That was the horse that he was gonna give to King Ganon. So he locks me in the ranch. See ya! Then I head over to the Zora gate and realize that I can't even get Epona over here. And then I realize that I could have just hopped the stream. Once I get to the domain, I realize that everything is frozen over. Even the king is encased in red ice. So I head to where Lord Jabu-Jabu was, and I find some ice caps. I hop over them, and then I make it to the next dungeon. Of course, it's more of a mini one. It's more based around ice. I didn't like this dungeon as much because I always had to carry around blue fire to melt red ice in a bottle, and anything that makes me stop using a fairy is automatically an enemy. Not to mention that every single ice melt I need to go back and refill it. But pretty soon I beat it, and then I got the iron boots.
Oh no. That must mean we're heading to... the Water Temple!
I also grabbed some blue fire for the king. Once I thaw him out, he gives me a Pro Jared tunic so I can breathe underwater. So now I head to Lake Hylia, equip the boots, and then I head down into
the Water Temple!
Once I enter, I find Princess Tsundere, and she criticizes me for being late to our wedding. But she tells me that she'll go call the party decorators and pick out the colors while I solve this temple.
And, you know, from what I understand, I think it's actually easier to plan a wedding than to... the Water Temple!
However, I don't know where where the stigma comes from. Is it because at a younger age, kids have a hard time figuring it out? Maybe the 3DS really helps by making the iron boots an item instead of gear. Speaking of gear, I never changed for my Goron tunic and I did just fine. I actually really liked the water temple. In fact, I felt like I knew the temple really well. I checked each room, and if I couldn't solve its puzzle, I made a mental note to come back at a different water level or after I got the dungeon's item, the long shot. So I had a lot of fun here. I really like this room where I had to use the long shot to go up a waterfall while sliding down, and oh, the mid-level boss was so cool. Shadow Link. I don't really know what this has to do with water. He probably should have been in the Shadow Temple, but whatever. It was a tough fight. At first, when I was locked onto him, he really did shadow my moves, blocking almost every attack. And then I dropped my lock-on on him and just started swinging my sword wildly, and he just walked right into my blade. The main boss, though, was another story. He was not fun to fight, which is a real shame, though, because up to this point, I have really enjoyed these fights, and I can't think of another game that has been so consistently good with the bosses. The main problem is that you need to pull the nucleus towards you with the long shot, and the thing is, you miss about 90% of your shots. So here I am, tapping on the long shot button, but when I do get lucky enough to hit him, I miss my 1/3 of a second window because I'm shooting my long shot over and over like a Nimrod. It took forever, but I did finally beat him, and then my tsundere fiance turned into a sage. Good thing I took Talon up on his offer. So, once I was outside of the dungeon, I took a quick moment to shoot Icarus out of the sky to get fire arrows. And then I headed over to Kakariko Village and the whole thing was on fire! I saw Sheik and he was getting shook around like a rag doll. After the cutscene, Sheik taught me the song to teleport into the Shadow Temple. So I head over there and then I lit all of these torches like Zuko did in that one episode of Avatar. And then I got some creepy imagery. Now this temple is a total spook fest. Tons of scary stuff and a lot of the use of the lens of truth. I actually really liked it. Except for two parts. See, I kinda got held up because whenever I see a pile of bodies, I think, let them rest in peace. I actually had to look it up and it said that I needed to bomb the corpses. Actually, interestingly enough, the water temple is the only temple that I didn't need to take a quick peek at a walkthrough for. My favorite part of this dungeon was the ferry ride. While you're riding on it, you need to fight off some skellymen. It's just like an awesome pirate film. Arr! Take that, ye scallywag! Ha ha ha! Now I'm the swashbuckling captain of this vessel.
Link, the ship is sinking! Abandon ship!
Nay, Navi. I stick with the age-old adage. The captain always takes the ship down with him. Okay, so I made it to the boss, King Bongo. You shoot his hands and then you take damage for no reason at all, and then you realize he's probably hiding behind the lens. So you get out the lens and notice, hey, you were right. So you shoot him in the eye and then you cut him up. Woo! Now we're back at the sage room, and this time the sage is Impa. I did not see that coming. And with that done, I believe it's time for the Spirit Temple. But to get there, I need to go through the Gerudo hideout. Ah, the Gerudo, the proud race of all female thieves. This mission is all about stealth. So I either need to be stealthy or I need to shoot them all in the head. It's a little easier this way. But when I was fighting one of their guards, she used this spinning move that knocked me out cold. After that, I got thrown into their dungeon where I need to watch every single episode of Feminist Frequency until I can recite them all by heart. Or I can just long shot my way out. So I head back. This time I avoid all of her attacks and then set all 4 of the carpenters free. And this proved to the king of the outpost that I have, quote, good thieving skills. So she gives me a slip of paper that says I can be a Gerudo now, and more importantly, go through the desert. The haunted desert. The carpenters and the Gerudo really hyped this up to be the hardest thing I'll ever do, but it was easy. The first trial, long shot over some quicksand. The second trial, follow some posts. And trial number 3, follow some ghosts with the lens of truth. And then I reached the Colossus, which has 2 doors, but I'm too weak to open one of them, and the other one I'm too big to crawl through, so I'm guessing I'm gonna have to come back as a kid. Fortunately, when I walk out, Sheik teaches me the teleport song for this area, which is good, because while the trials were easy, they were also time-consuming. Turn into a kid, come back, there's a lady, her name is Namuru, and although she is a Gerudo, she is not a fan of the Gerudo King Ganon. Hashtag not my thief king. She wants to mess up his operation, so she asks me to go get the silver gauntlets so she can pummel him. So I head in to get the gauntlets, and this was a pretty easy temple too. I actually really liked the boss. Iron Knuckles wildly swinging an axe. And unlike most bosses, you can always attack these guys. You want to try and get greedy? Go ahead. Just don't be surprised when you're halfway across the room with a slash that goes from your navel to your nasal. After beating the monster though, I got the gauntlets. I also got a front row seat to Naburu's murder. Bye, Naburu! After that, I went to the future, and with the strength I received from the gauntlets, I moved the block. Then I went through a few more puzzles, and I had to fight an Iron Knuckle. The thing is that the Master Sword has double the range of the Kokiri dagger, and it also does 4 times the amount of damage. And as far as I can tell, the Iron Knuckle is the exact same as the last one. Add in the fact that I actually know how to fight Iron Knuckles now, and he was a complete pushover. He was guarding the mirror shield, and now that I have it, there are light-based puzzles. 2 light-based puzzles. And now I can fight the boss. It's a Super Iron Knuckle. Does more damage than the last one and takes more hits. But the AI is exactly the same, so it isn't long before I knock the shell off of it. And it was actually Nabooru. She was being brain controlled by these witches. And it just so happens that these witches are the next boss, and this boss fight sucks. Unlike the Iron Knuckles, you cannot attack them at will. The first half of the battle, they fly around the room, and very occasionally they'll decide to fire an elemental beam at you. At this time, you need to stand completely still and lock onto the opposite sister. And if you're standing at a lucky angle, you will actually send the beam back at her. After a bunch of successful hits, they combine into Twin Rova, and she's just as bad. She just flies around the room and then sends an occasional elemental beam, and you need to absorb it into your shield, and after you get 3 of the same elements in a row, your shield will actually shoot the element back at her, and she becomes vulnerable. The biggest problem of this is she will shoot 2 of the same beams, and then almost never shoot that third one that you need. This boss was infuriating. Shoot fire already! Fire! Fire! Oh my... Fire! Please, fire, fire, fire. That's what I'm talking about! Burn, baby, burn! Disco Inferno! Son of a... But eventually, she gave me the elements I needed. I killed them and they came apart, and then they went steadfastly into heaven. Then I was taken to the Chamber of the Sages, and Nabooru was elected as the Sage of Spirit. There you go, White Sage guy. 5 sages, 4 of them female. And hey, the Goron has a beard, so that's pretty cool. Now what do you want me to do? Go to the Temple of Time? Awesome. So I head to the temple, and my boy Sheik is waiting for me there, and he gives me some exposition. There's this thing called the Triforce. Ganon has the Triforce of Power. You possess the Triforce of Courage. And the coolest, sexiest, most awesome and wonderful person who ever lived on this planet has the Triforce of Wisdom. Zelda. Sheik is Zelda? Literally 2 seconds after changing back into Zelda, she gets abducted by Ganon, and he tells me to go to the castle, and I do, and oh dear.
Must have changed ownership since I was here.
So I arrive, and the sages say that they'll combine their power to make a bridge. And would you look at this bridge? That's a nice bridge. You see, I would have been sufficed with like just a plank of wood, but no, they pulled out all the stops. Just look at that nice rainbow coloring and the ornate guard railing. They really went all out. This is a nice bridge. Okay, so inside Ganon's castle we have an awesome song with an organ blaring the whole time, and I need to solve 6 mini-dungeons to lower a barrier, each one representing a different temple I've already visited, and this is probably the best part of the game. Each dungeon couldn't have been more than 5 minutes long, but these puzzles are slightly harder, and seeing as how I'm 26 now, I really appreciate the challenge.
I actually had a birthday between when the well happened and Ganon's castle. Feel free to wish me a happy birthday in the comments.
After I shot each barrier with a sacred arrow, I made my way up the tower, and I got a bunch of fun fights. I got to fight 2 lizard men, and I got to fight 2 skelly men, and finally, I got to fight 2 iron knuckle men. I thought the one with the black armor was really cool looking. I spontaneously died while fighting the other one, but fortunately I had a fairy with me. Now I head into Ganon, and I find it absolutely hilarious. He's the one who was jamming away on the organ the whole time. Really, dude? That music for the past 45 minutes, that was you? Oh, thanks, man. Dude, you are really good, and it made the puzzles that much more enjoyable. So now's the time to fight, and this is a good boss fight. No downtime. We stand opposite of one another, taking turns playing tennis. I use the hammer for this fight because I think the hammer's awesome. I really loved it. Every time he screwed up the tennis match, I let a holy arrow fly, and then I went over and conked him in the head a couple of times with the hammer. After he failed a few volleys, though, he finally admits defeat, and in a final fit of rage, attempts to bring the castle down on both of us. So then me and my dad need to make a daring escape, and we do! Then we're on the outside of the castle, and Zelda decides to open her mouth and say, "It's finally over." That's when Ganon pops out of the rubble and says, "Not quite yet," and transforms into his beast form and smacks away the Master Sword. Alright, Zelda, toss me the sword. It's right next to you. Just pull it out and I know you're good at throwing things, Zelda! You know what? Screw it. The hammer served me well up to this point. Now, this is an excellent boss fight. I cannot tell you the last time I played a game where the final boss fight felt like a final boss. Even the challenge is tuned to perfection. Anyway, the first half of the battle is fine. He comes at you and then you lock onto his face and shoot him with a holy arrow, which stuns him. Then you run around back and hammer his tail. And the whole time during the fight, he is chasing you. He's super fast, his sword covers a large area, and worst of all,
If he shoots ya, it's gonna hurt.
the good news is that there's rubble all around, and you can hide behind these for some respite, but he will come over and destroy them. However, once I got lucky and the walls that he blew up had a bunch of fairies and they popped out, so I grabbed my bottles and captured all 3. I mean, come on, 70-year-old milk wasn't gonna be enough to beat this guy. Halfway through the fight though, the fire subsides, long enough for me to go over and grab the Master Sword. But at this point my magic was exhausted, so whenever I shot him in the face it only slowed him down for a little bit. So I didn't always make it to his tail, and that means that I got smacked across the room and lost a bunch of hearts. Near the end, I was in dire straits. My health was low. One more hit and it was lights out. So I went towards him, and I swear I messed up the dodge, but I made it through his legs. I saw his tail and I took a wild swing, expecting him to turn around on his heel and knock me down dead. But to my pleasant surprise, that hit that I got was the final one that I needed. An amazing end to an amazing fight. At this point, Zelda and the 6 sages combined their magic to seal Ganon away, and he swore he'd be back to kill our descendants. Okay, cool. This was a fun game. I look forward to it, man. Then Zelda says, "Alright, cool. He's dead. Let's send you back to enjoy your childhood." So I gave her the ocarina, and she played the song.
Absolutely beautiful. Well, that is the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. What can I say about this game? Fantastic dungeons, amazing bosses, and you know what? Honestly, I think the music is some of Koji Kondo's absolutely best music, and I think Koji Kondo is probably the best in the industry. I don't really know what else to say about this video except thank you, PBG, for giving me the opportunity to play one of my favorite games. It was so special to actually beat this game, and on my birthday, no less. Yeah, truly a unique experience. Another special thanks to you. You actually watched all the way to this point. I understand it was probably a pretty long one. You know, I had a lot of fun doing this. I think I'm gonna make it an annual tradition now. Every November, I will review one of these Zelda games. I tell you to subscribe because of that reason, but you should know what you're gonna be getting the rest of the year. I'll go ahead and put some videos in the end slate. You know, I do video game top 10s. Right now, I'm reviewing every single game on the SNES Classic, having a good old grand old time. With that said,